Hey guys, we're back in Santa Cruz, California. We're looking at one of my favorite long-tail electric cargo bikes. And it's because it comes in 3 colors, as you can see here. And it's really affordable. It's $16.99, which is amazing to me. A lot of companies have raised their prices on electric bike stuff in recent years due to supply chain, challenges. But in addition to kind of maintaining a relatively affordable price point, they've actually improved this a lot since the first generation. So this is a second generation product. They've really refined it. Like the frame is different. The optional second battery pack is mounted differently. They've increased the motor power. Actually, a new motor from Shengi. It's 750 watts, which is like as high as you can go in the United States. 90 newton meters of torque, which is almost unheard of for a hub motor. This is the Blix Packa Genie. And we're looking at the slate gray. They're all glossy. Over here we have teal and we have white. And as you can see, they've outfitted these with all the optional accessories just to give you some idea and get your creative juices flowing here. So we've got 2 Yepp maxi child seats mounted to that one, 2 pads mounted to this one, but this is how it looks stock. And they do have optional running board kind of thing that can fit on the side. In fact, here they are with bamboo and a matching bamboo deck if you want that kind of thing. But this is how it would come stock. You can see all of the different threaded eyelets, the 2 Yepp EasyFit windows. We've got 2 pannier hangers right here, which is great. So you can just clip right onto those, and they aren't like the top tube, which makes it difficult if you want to mount pads and have a little bit of clearance, or maybe have trunk bags or something like that. Of course, we have the optional front tray, and then you can mount baskets on top of that, again matching bamboo, or we go with the metal tubing, and then he's just got some bungee cords and stuff on that. It's really exciting. Of course, these accessories they add up, they cost a little bit of money. So it's nice that the bike itself does start out at such a low price point. And again, to me, to have a bike that has like a color matched battery like this, I mean, even the teal over here, that's really cool. That's really unique. I don't see that a lot. Now this is a fairly generic, it's called a Reention Dorado battery pack, but it's got great high capacity cells in there, 18650 cells. This is a 48 volt system, so you get a little bit more power going to the motor, and it gives you that extra torque. And it's fairly high capacity. It's 614 watt hours total. So that's what it comes with. It does not come with this second battery pack, so keep that in mind. You have to pay extra for that. I think it's $600 or $700 additional. Without that second battery pack, like if you just bought this, $16.99, the bike weighs about 67.5 pounds, which is not too bad considering that it comes with these 75 millimeter plastic fenders, like fairly wide, good coverage, got the rubber flap in the back and everything, and they mount very solidly. I'm not hearing this rattle a whole lot while we're riding. It feels very secure. And we also have the cable running through there. I think in addition to redesigning some of the tubing, they've been able to improve access to the controller, which you can see down here by that double leg kickstand. This is adjustable, so you can sort of make sure the bike is standing just right for you. But yeah, it's a little bit more accessible down there. Because it's running at higher amps, I think having it exposed like that gives it a little bit more kind of air conditioning. Like as you're riding, it keeps it a little bit cooler. They have some other bikes where the controller is part of the mounting plate for that battery pack. But again, that is an optional second battery pack. So the controller right there is really for this primary battery initially. Otherwise, the cables and stuff are run through a frame. We have a deflopilator stabilizer spring so that front wheel kind of stays straight. Very helpful if you're loading this up with kids and stuff. I mean, imagine that. We got a 67, 68 pound bike and you're trying to put a couple of kids in there. Or maybe you're using this with a trailer. Another thing that I kind of noticed when we were going through the details is that they've got this plate right here that will fit a 10 millimeter mounting point for trailers. Maybe you have like a burly trailer or a pet carrier or something like that. Very cool that they added that, and it's symmetrical, so there's one on either side. I think most trailers connect on the left side of the bike because they won't interfere with the derailleur and stuff that way. I want to point out that the motor power cable has a quick disconnect right here, and that it's tucked between the disc brake rotor and the frame. So it's actually really well protected right here, and it reduces the clutter at the derailleur side. So very nice to see that. It's a quality decision. I've seen a couple companies move towards this. And in the older days, we had like a motor power cable that would come out and like poke right into the axle right here, and we had derailleur guards and stuff. But in this case, by sort of separating those two important cables or wires, it just cleans it up a lot. Shimano Acera, 14 to 34 tooth, 7-speed freewheel back here. So we do have that taller 34 tooth sprocket, which is nice. A lot of the other bikes from Blix seem to be like 14 to 28, so 28 versus 34. So the taller gear back here is great for climbing. And when you think about this bike and maybe being loaded up with extra weight, it's nice to have an easier starting gear. And in fact, I think they call this like the Mega Range or something. If we pedal it back, there it is, Mega Range. Really long chain from that 48 tooth steel chain ring. Nice aluminum alloy guide, so the chain won't bounce off. However, it can kind of come down here and maybe make contact with the frame. I don't see a slap guard here, and some of the other bikes lack a slap guard as well. So for me, I might put some clear like box tape there to protect the paint, because it is so nice. I'm not really seeing nicks in it, but it's just something I've noticed on other bikes. I don't see it here. Standard 170 millimeter crank arms. These are not the stock pedals. I think you'll get aluminum alloy, possibly black Welgo with like fixed pins. So they're just going to be more sturdy, metal versus plastic like this. Yeah, so I feel like the drivetrain is pretty standard on this bike, and upgrading to Acera, it's a slightly nicer derailleur. A lot of their other bikes, they're a little bit more basic. It's like Shimano Tourney kind of entry level, but the shifting mechanism is the same. It's got this optical window so you can see what gear you're in, and you just kind of twist. It's a little simpler for people, I find, who are not like big cyclists to use than like the trigger shifters. And you're like, which trigger does what? This is just obvious. You twist up for the higher gear, you twist down for the lower gear. Very simple. Coming back to weight for a second, I think it's about 7.6 pounds for that battery right there, and 7.2 pounds for that battery, but it also has a mounting plate. So if you get this bike with the two batteries, actually weighed this with both of those on, and I think it was closer to like 76.7 pounds. So it does add some significant weight to have that extra battery, but when we weighed it, we did it right here on the nose of the saddle, and the bike was really even front to rear. Another thing that's unique about this product compared to some of the other Blix models is that the battery has a USB charging port on the side, full-size USB Type A, 5-volt, 1 amp, as well as the display. The display has a USB charging port on it too. So I tend to use this one a little bit more if you're going to mount your phone for GPS or add a little additional light or speaker or something like that. But it's nice that you have two. You can take this battery off the bike and use it as like a portable power bank, which is very cool. Now this is where the bike really starts to get crazy. We got two bottle cage mounting points right here, and then if you get this rear child protector thing, there's two on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can really load this thing up. This is meant to kind of protect the kids and stuff and keep them sort of secure. However, if you put your hand on this and you come by a wall or something, I've seen other metal surround sort of accessories that have two tubes. So the outer tube protects the fingers and the inner tube is where you grab. This is a little bit more basic to me. I just wanted to point that out for safety, and you can make a decision for yourself. This might be a little bit narrower or something. I was surprised that this bike is about 81 inches long. I thought it would be longer, but it's about the same length as the Blix Soul, which is like a cruiser model they have, and they actually both use that more powerful Shengyi 750 watt motor, so that was cool. All of their bikes use this 12 magnet sealed cadence sensor on the left side. It's very responsive, it's well protected, and it just kind of goes back to the clean integration. But now this is where we get into some trade-offs, okay? The bike comes with this battery pack with one set of keys, and you unlock it, you take the battery pack off, but the charging port is low, right? It's right there by the crank arm. So if we cycle this by, it could just bump into the plug and you just have to bend over and stuff. So for me, that's like, it's nice when everything's up higher, easier to reach. Now, this is the second battery pack, and you'll notice there's a second set of keys, and they're like the same brand of keys. And so it's sort of like, okay, now you got to carry two keys with you, one for each battery pack. You also have to charge these independently. You can't charge like the whole bike, which is a bit of a bummer because the charger is a 2 amp, a little bit more basic. Oh yeah, I put it in the pannier bag. So here it is. Really cute, compact. It's branded nicely. I mean, I feel like their branding is on point. It's understated and everything, but it's 2 amps. So I think if you fully drain one of these batteries, it's like a 6-hour charge, and that's a long time to wait. If you want to do it overnight, it's like you got to wake up halfway through and then, you know, plug in the other battery pack. So I just wanted to point that out. And that charging port is up higher, fairly easy to reach here, whether you leave the battery on the bike or not. So that's sort of the Blix, you know, more custom plastic battery that you'd spend extra money on. The Reention Dorado is right here, comes out fairly easily. I think I said 7.6 pounds, 48 volt, 14 amp hour. It's a fairly high capacity, and it's interesting to see that sticker because I thought it was a little bit, I thought they were the same capacity. I think this one's 12.8. So as usual, I have all the details back at my site, and Blix, this is like they're just launching these bikes. So my goal is to study this as in-depth as possible, but also to leave comments open if you notice something changing. Maybe the price changes over time, or some of the accessories might change a bit. This adjustable angle stem is really nice. It gives you great fit, and it's fairly high up with this low-rise handlebar, ergonomic grips. Just gives you that comfort, especially since the bikes only come in one frame size. So you've got a lot of options in terms of saddle height and handlebar position, which is great. 27.2 millimeter seat post. You can swap that out. I think they have, you know, it's, I think 350 millimeters. It's fine as is, but if you're someone who wants a little bit more comfort, they've got a Thud Buster from King Creek. It's an option that you can upgrade to, and it supports that nice, comfortable back and neck if you are riding a little faster, a little further, which tends to happen on these e-bikes in my experience. But the other thing worth calling out is that this is a great wheel size, I think, for the bike. You'll notice they're a little bit smaller. This is not a 26-inch wheel, which is pretty common. This is 24. And then the tires are 2.4 inches wide, so they're wider. And they've got this reflective sidewall stripe, and they do have kind of a puncture protective casing, so you're gonna maybe have fewer flats. Very nice to see that. I mean, that's definitely the way to go. Changing flats on electric bikes, especially the rear wheel, is kind of a pain because you got to take the bolts off and deal with the chain and the disc brake and everything. On the front, we just have a standard quick release 100 millimeter hub spacing, 9 millimeter axle with a quick release skewer. So good job overall. And again, I do feel like the fenders give you nice protection. I like the wire wrap they've done. All the electronics are like IP, I think it's 65, so it's highly rated against water, rain, that kind of thing. Of course, you don't want to drive this into a lake or anything. That wouldn't be great. Another thing they've improved is the headlight positioning. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the bike on by pressing this M button right here. I want to call out that if your bike isn't starting, you might need to press this power button here to sort of activate the battery. And then this second battery back here, it has a toggle switch. So if you turned it off, you'd only be using power from the main battery here. When you turn it on, the bike sort of goes back and forth to draw these down sort of evenly. It's using one battery at a time, but then it sort of switches between them, so it's not like you're cycling that main battery all the time, which is nice. I think I need to turn it back on there when I turned off the second battery. But yeah, it's a really nice setup. If I hold the up arrow here, we're gonna get that headlight. It's the Ascendo 40 from Spaninga, 40 Lux. Seems like they've improved the mounting on this. It used to be out on the fender and it could kind of bounce up and down and just felt a little bit more vulnerable. This is nice. However, the light kind of gets, it can't aim down as much, right? Like if you look from the side, it's almost shining into the fender a little bit. So I feel like that could be maybe a slightly higher, but then you start to collide with the wires and stuff. And the optional front basket, which is really cool. Like you can see the two different options over here. It's mounted to the steerer tube. So when you're steering the bike, the rack isn't moving around, you're not upsetting your pet or, you know, dumping your cargo off. This is the way to do it, and it gives you that higher 50-pound max weight capacity on front. However, I suppose that's why the light is a little bit lower like that, so it's not colliding, and also it gives you a little bit more maybe visibility. Some other companies that have cargo bikes, they'll move the light up here if you get the rack, but the downside is it won't point where you're steering in that case, and you need like an accessory cable to relocate it. So there are a lot of trade-offs that have to be made on these bikes, and I feel like Blix has done a good job with their second generation product. They've really refined things. The rear light is quite impressive. This is the Flexio from Spaninga. It's got 27 little small red LEDs and then 2 larger ones on each side that go bright whenever you pull the brakes. So, you know, we talked about how powerful this motor is. It's really capable bike, and with the 24-inch wheels, you're getting a mechanical advantage. So it's quite powerful, but you still want to have that override, and having a hydraulic disc brake lever like they got here that has a motor inhibitor built in and the brake light activation is uncommon to see, especially at this price point. So again, let's talk about the wheel size for a second here. 24-inch wheels, so you're getting some strength, you're getting a mechanical advantage for the motor to push you forward. Even as the rider, it's just easier to turn a smaller wheel, and it's easier to load that rear rack. You're not having to lift quite so high. So I've seen some companies do like 2 different size wheels or even smaller wheels. However, that raises your attack angle, so the ride becomes less comfortable. This is a really good compromise. I feel like it's working well. There's a pretty good PSI spread on these tires, so you can lower the pressure a little bit if you want that comfort. I mean, no, there's no suspension fork, but it is a steel fork. It tends to dampen the vibration a little bit. And as I mentioned before, you know, there's some good ergonomic adjustability, and maybe you get that suspension post. But then we come over to the brakes. They went with large 180 millimeter disc brake rotors. Great choice, especially given the additional weight you're carrying and the higher power of the motor. So there's more area to cool, and it's just like the smaller wheel. The larger disc brake gives you more power for stopping. Dual piston calipers, and that is front and rear. 3-finger Bengel Aries 3 brake levers. I'm not as familiar with this brand. It might be a little cheaper, but I do like that it has this interface for adding that bell. And you know, 2 or 3 fingers, you can brake pretty well with these. They've done well, and we rode way up here. It was a pretty steep climb for part of it, and I went up and down, and I even rode with a friend on the back, and it worked pretty well. So I've got to say, all in all, the bike is definitely impressive. If I were to change anything, it would kind of be to, you know, bring the charging port up on that main battery and maybe have a single key and simultaneous battery charging. And there are other bikes that do that, but they tend to be, you know, at least $4,000. Some of the Bosch systems do that. It just costs more, and a lot of the time they don't have the throttle operation, which can be pretty handy for a cargo bike, because you know, getting started requires a little bit more leg and balance, and you're putting more power in, you're trying to stabilize the whole bike, so the throttle just it takes the load off a little bit getting started. It is a variable speed throttle. Let's go ahead and boot up the display. I guess it's already on still. We held that power button for a second, that M button, and it comes to life pretty quickly. The new display allows you to use the throttle anytime and get full power, even if you arrow down to 0. So in this case, we'd have a bike with a throttle plus lights. You know, that's pretty cool, plus the USB charging. And this is a bike you can pedal around if it's flat, and especially if you're just maybe you're using this to commute to and from work or something, with the occasional grocery run or something like that, almost like a pickup truck. You know, it's comfortable enough. It's a decent gear range on it. But if we come back to the display, I'll walk you through here. At the top, we have the energy bar. It looks like there are 10 ticks, but really it's 5. So you end up seeing these disappear in blocks of 20% increments, which is a little, it'd be nice if it was more precise. Or maybe we have like a battery percentage readout. It's a minor complaint. This is the same display they use on all the bikes, and frankly, it's fairly large. It gets the job done. The next thing down here is speed. It's in miles per hour. And if we go to the bottom, we can see odometer. When I press this M button, the menus change. So we go to average speed, and at the bottom, trip distance for A, and then max speed and trip distance for B. So it kind of cycles through a bunch of different readouts, just pressing that M button. It's pretty intuitive. Pedal assist level, again, we're in 0. It goes all the way up to 5. And then the light, we got to that by holding the up arrow, but we also have walk mode if you hold the down arrow. So there we go. That thing is really, we got the kickstand almost just right, so the bike is fairly flat right now. A lot of times you'll see where one wheel is kind of off the ground, so I do like how adjustable that is, and that we don't get pedal lock. I mean, a lot of little things that they could have missed, I feel like they got them right. Okay, so back up to the menu here for a second. There is a settings menu. If we hold up and down simultaneously, we can get in there. We can change from miles to kilometers if we want. and we can change the top speed. 32 kilometers per hour is 20 miles per hour, which is the top legal speed in the United States for a Class 2 electric bike. If you want, though, you can take that down, lower the top speed. You're going to save some energy and maybe feel more comfortable, so 17. Or you can go all the way up to 45, which almost turns this into like a speed pedelec or something for people with private property, or maybe you're using this as like a pit crew kind of a bike to get around the shop or something like that. It's great that this is kind of open to you as the user. And then wheel size is the last one, and I wouldn't change that. To get out, we hold the M button. So these are direct-to-consumer bikes. That's part of why they're a little bit more affordable. I was just asking the guys, like, what do you have to do to set this up? And they were saying, the front wheel, and then kind of setting up maybe the stem and the handlebars, just getting that right. So keep that in mind. Again, it's a heavier bike, so get some help lifting it or whatever, and take your time setting it up. I like that. Sounds like the drivetrain is all intact, so there shouldn't be too many extra steps, but there is the extra step of the unboxing. So just want to kind of mention that. Let's hop on and do some riding. There we go. You kind of see that headlight there. Gets a little bit, maybe kind of touches the fender a bit down here, but does a pretty good job. Fairly visible, fairly bright. A little kind of a light blue backlighting scheme for the display. Hey guys.
Hello.
Can you squeeze the brake levers, Pontus? I'd like to show the brights again here. Look at that. Very cool. Thanks, man.
27 LEDs.
27.
This is George, by the way.
Oh, that's George. He's a cutie.
Joji.
Go ahead and lead.
That motor wheel is lovely.
Nice job, guys.
Right on mission for a little bit. Probably want Escalona though. Yeah, has to go straight over.
Okay. With the wider tire, you can do no hands pretty easily. It tracks nicely. The frame feels really solid and stiff. I'm not getting like frame flex. Of course, I'm not hauling a bunch of weight. Go for it. This is like a really steep hill. Look at Pontus is climbing straight up. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. How the brakes working, Pontus?
I'm just saying it is very easy actually.
Yeah, look at that. This is a really steep hill. Great job. Okay guys, I got my buddy back here. Just wanted to do a ride test with the white one. I use assist level 2 and 3 quite a bit, so that's what I'm gonna do. We'll just start off. Got that 12 magnet sealed sensor. Kicks right in. Nice and smooth. Quite a bit of cargo. We loaded these up right before we left just to sort of see if we could feature all of the accessories. But we do have a steel fork. It's designed to be a lot stiffer. And if I shake the bike, I almost can't shake the bike because we've got that rear rack and the bear and everything, and I'm kind of riding with one hand. Looking good. Can I give it a try, Pontus? Maybe hop on?
Absolutely.
Thanks for parking me directly into the curb here, my friend.
Yes, I'm waiting for Will.
Guys, I'm just gonna load up. Will, do you trust me with your life?
I trust you.
Okay, will you help stabilize while we get started? Okay, here we go. Kicking it off with the throttle. Feeling pretty solid. I was a little concerned, you know, it's a lot of weight. I think the rear rack is rated for 150 pounds, and the primary driver, the captain, can be up to 250, and then the front is 50 pounds. So this bike is quite the beast. I mean, and it feels pretty good. I don't want to do my no hands test right now because the bike is loaded up, but that was kind of cool. I didn't even have to pedal. I just used the throttle. I'm gonna do that again. Kind of line it up. There we go. Doing great. How you feeling back there?
I feel great.
Sweet.
Good captain.
Famous last words, my friend. Awesome. Pontus, you were saying that you guys named this bike the Packa Genie because it granted 3 wishes that the customers all said, right? Like more motor power, higher battery capacity,
yep,
and then hydraulic disc brakes.
There we go.
That was a good choice. A very good choice.
Your wishes are command.
Okay. And then both of these running at 48 volts with that higher amp controller, 25 amps, right?
Right.
What was it before?
Before
Keegan?
it was for the Packa.
Yeah.
It was a 20 amp peak controller.
So yeah, I mean, that's like a pretty significant, it's like 25% increase in amperage.
It didn't have that continuous peak of 15 either.
What's interesting to me is, so there's less tubing on these frames. It's sort of more elegant. The older bike had the battery back here further, so we're bringing weight like forward and down. And apparently they reduced the frame weight, but then you added a little bit of weight with the motor and the battery, so it ends up being kind of comparable to before. Very cool, guys. I'm gonna hop on with Keegan up here and do the pad thing in the back, but I love it. I mean, you got the pet carrier, it kind of matches and everything. These are the optional seat pads. There are 2 of them, and then we've got some of the Blix branded panniers back here. 2 separate mounting points, so we kind of slid them back. I'm gonna hop on, saddle up, and then there's an extra handle. We don't have the handle, so I'm just gonna kind of hold on for dear life. Let's do it, buddy. Thanks, guys. Pretty powerful. We climbed a really steep hill back there, and I did a little bit of pedaling at the last minute, but we all made it up, and it was actually pretty impressive. Friendly folks out here. Pretty quiet. Are we using the motor at all here?
It's just clicking on a little bit. We're going downhill a little bit, so
we're just coasting.
We don't want to be going.
And these bikes, you know, they only come in 1 frame size, but we've got that fairly adjustable stem, so you can angle it forward, you could bring it up, raise your seat post. Got a range of riders here, and everyone looks pretty comfortable. It's going pretty well. Oh boy. Nice. Did you tap the brake lights, man? Nice. Thank you. Kind of cool to get to explore the bike like in transit. Well, guys, that's it. It's been fun riding this bike around with friends and seeing how custom you can set it up. As usual, I've measured the length, the width, the standover height, which is slightly higher. And they said they did that in order to fit the larger battery pack. This will be color matched. I think they just didn't have the gray one since it's kind of brand new. I really feel like the bike is beautiful, and I like that the battery that comes with it is the down tube one. I just feel like it looks nice. It's fairly easy to get on and off. This one, it's kind of a slide friction fit. It'd be neat if both batteries matched, but I can understand this one's not quite as tall, and it's more on top of the tubing versus sunk into the tubing like that. Look at how custom they did this with like the frame sort of flares out to give you a really solid mounting point. So anyway, for the full written review, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. There is a comparison tool I created that lets you compare other cargo bikes. There's a lot of options now, like mid-tail that are not quite so long, long tail like this. You can spend more and get like a mid-drive, or maybe you want the throttle like we have here. It's all back at ElectricBikeReview.com, along with a forum, and the forum is very open. The idea is that you can share your experience maybe with the first Blix Packa. The company does have a 1-year comprehensive warranty, and another interesting feature they have now is for like $160 you can get an additional year of warranty coverage that includes like wear and tear items. I don't know all the details, but you get 2 years for $220, and that might be worth it if you're someone who's riding a lot and maybe you are in the snow or something. You just want to make sure you're protecting your investment. It's something new to me, so I thought that was pretty cool. And the forums, again, it's another place where you can just talk about different accessories. Maybe there's a compatible surround with the double tubing if that's the choice you want to make. So I love you guys. I hope this helps. I appreciate your feedback, and we'll see you on the next ride.